I stare into my coffee cup, watching the dark liquid swirl as Hannah's laughter echoes through our parents' dining room. My sister's voice, always commanding attention, fills every corner of the space. She's telling another one of her stories, and I'm once again the punchline. Can you believe Olivia still hasn't found a real job? Hannah's perfectly manicured hands make air quotes as she speaks. I mean, she's 33. What does she even do all day? She throws her head back, letting out another theatrical laugh that makes our mother's china rattle. I take another sip of my coffee, letting its warmth spread through my chest. The bitter taste matches the moment perfectly. Around the table, our parents and extended family shift uncomfortably. Some forcing polite smiles, others suddenly finding their pot roast fascinating. Aunt Sarah attempts to change the subject, asking about Mom's garden, but Hannah isn't finished with me yet. You know, I just submitted my application to TechLoom, she announces proudly, straightening her designer blazer. Now that's a real company. They're revolutionizing data analysis systems. I heard their CEO is brilliant, though nobody seems to know much about them. She shoots me a condescending glance. That's the kind of career path you should be looking into, Liv. If she only knew. I hide a small smile behind my cup, thinking about the stack of applications on my desk at TechLoom headquarters, Hannah's resume sitting right on top. I think about the corner office on the 32nd floor with its view of the city skyline, the board meetings where my decisions shape the future of the company I built from nothing, the $120 million valuation that made headlines in the tech world last quarter. But here, in this dining room that smells of pot roast and childhood memories, I'm still just quiet little Olivia. The sister who doesn't have a real job. The one who lives in Hannah's shadow. I've learned that silence can be a shield, and sometimes the greatest power lies in letting others underestimate you. Dad catches my eye from across the table, his forehead creased with concern. He's always been more attuned to the undercurrents, though he's never quite understood my choice to keep my success private. I give him a slight nod, letting him know I'm okay. Because I am. More than okay, actually. Well, Hannah continues, reaching for another dinner roll. I have a good feeling about TechLoom. They'd be crazy not to hire me. I mean, with my experience and personality, I'd be an asset to any company. I take another sip of coffee, savoring the irony of the moment. In a few weeks, I'll be reviewing her application, sitting in my office with James, my co-founder. We'll discuss her qualifications, her potential role, her salary, and through it all, I'll maintain my silence, not out of spite, but because some victories don't need to be announced with fanfare. The Sunday lunch continues, and I let Hannah's words wash over me like waves against a rock, steady, unmoved. I've learned that true strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it simply sits, drinks its coffee, and knows its own worth. People often assume that silence means weakness. I learned this lesson early, watching Hannah command every room she entered while I preferred to observe from the corners. Growing up in our modest suburban home in Connecticut, I was always the other sister, the quiet one, the wallflower, the girl who spent her weekends coding while Hannah led cheering squads and won speech competitions. I remember the exact moment I decided to embrace my silence rather than fight it. It was during my senior year of high school, when Hannah interrupted my valedictorian speech rehearsal to announce she'd been accepted to Yale. The timing wasn't coincidental. It never was with Hannah. As our parents erupted in celebration, I quietly packed up my notes and slipped away to my room, where my real work waited. Lines of code that would eventually become TechLoom's foundation. That night, hunched over my computer with only the soft glow of the monitor illuminating my face, I made a promise to myself. I would build something extraordinary, but I would do it my way, without fanfare, without seeking validation, without trying to compete with Hannah's spotlight. The code became my confidant, the algorithms my allies. I met James during my sophomore year at MIT, a place I chose specifically because Hannah had dismissed it as too nerdy for her Ivy League aspirations. He was as quiet as I was, with a brilliant mind for systems architecture and a shared vision of creating something revolutionary. We spent countless nights in the computer lab, fueled by vending machine coffee and determination, laying the groundwork for what would become Techloom. "You know," James told me one night, as we debugged our first major prototype, "your silence is your superpower. While everyone else is talking about what they're going to do, you're actually doing it." Those words stayed with me through the lean years, through the rejections from investors who wanted a more charismatic leader, through the nights when I questioned everything. While Hannah posted about her entry-level positions at prestigious firms on social media, garnering hundreds of likes and congratulatory comments, I was silently building our company's infrastructure, securing patents, and developing relationships with key clients who appreciated substance over style. The irony wasn't lost on me when our first major client turned out to be one of the banks where Hannah had unsuccessfully interviewed. Our data analysis system revolutionized their risk assessment process, and they never knew that the quiet woman who occasionally joined the Zoom calls was actually the CEO. I preferred it that way, letting our work speak for itself. Even now, with Techloom's success far exceeding our initial dreams, I maintain my privacy. My office is comfortable but modest. My name appears only where legally necessary, and I still code alongside our development team when a particularly challenging problem arises. The few industry insiders who know my identity respect my choice to stay out of the limelight. The money, and there's quite a bit of it now, sits quietly in investment accounts, growing as silently as I do. I live in a comfortable but unassuming apartment, drive a reliable but not flashy car, and continue to attend family gatherings where Hannah holds court. It's not about playing poor or being deceptive. It's about staying true to who I am. Sometimes, late at night in my office, I look out at the city lights and think about how different my path has been from Hannah's. She's always chased the spotlight, while I've found power in the shadows. She announces every small victory, while I've built an empire in silence. Neither way is wrong, they're just different. But soon, very soon, our paths will intersect in ways she can't imagine, and I find myself both dreading and anticipating that inevitable collision. Hannah's resume sits on my desk like a ticking time bomb. James stands by the window of my office, his reflection overlapping with the city skyline behind him. We've been friends and business partners long enough that he knows exactly what's going through my mind. "You don't have to handle this personally," he says, adjusting his glasses. "HR can manage the entire process." I shake my head, picking up the carefully crafted document. Hannah's face smiles confidently from the professional headshot in the corner, the same smile she's used to charm her way through life. "No, I need to be involved. She's qualified for the position, James. Actually overqualified. Her financial analysis background is exactly what we need for the expansion." "But," he prompts, knowing there's more. "But I'm not sure if I'm ready for my two worlds to collide." I stand up and walk to the window, watching the afternoon sun glint off neighboring buildings. For years, I've kept Techloom and my family life completely separate. It's been cleaner that way. My phone buzzes. Another text from Hannah. "Just checking in about my application. Hope someone reviews it soon." It's the third message, this week. Classic Hannah, always pushing, always making sure she's at the forefront of everyone's mind. I think back to last week's family dinner, where she spent 20 minutes detailing her interview preparation to our parents. "Techloom would be lucky to have me," she'd declared, while I silently ate my mother's lasagna. "I've researched everything about them. Well, everything that's public anyway. They're so mysterious about their leadership." James clears his throat. "You know she'll find out eventually if we hire her. The board has been pushing for you to take a more public role anyway. Maybe this is the universe's way of forcing your hand." I turn to face him, feeling the weight of the decision. I've reviewed her references. Called them personally, actually. She's good at what she does, when she's not trying to be the center of attention. Her last supervisor said she has excellent analytical skills, strong project management capabilities. But you're worried about how she'll react when she finds out her unemployed sister is actually her boss. James raises an eyebrow. I'm worried about how it will change everything. I sit back down, running my fingers along the edge of her resume. The dynamic between us, the company culture we've built here, my ability to lead effectively if everyone knows about our relationship. The intercom buzzes, and my assistant's voice fills the room. Ms. Chen, your 2 p.m. appointment is here. The quarterly review with the development team? Thank you, Sarah. I'll be right there. I stand up, straightening my simple black blazer. We need to make a decision by tomorrow. The position needs to be filled before the new quarter. James picks up Hannah's resume, studying it one more time. You know, in all the years I've known you, I've never seen you back down from a challenging situation. You've always faced them head-on, just quietly. I smile slightly, remembering all the obstacles we've overcome together. The failed pitches, the near bankruptcy in our second year, the technical crisis that almost cost us our first major client. We survived it all through careful planning and silent determination. Schedule the offer meeting, I finally say, reaching for my tablet. But let's do it my way. No special treatment, standard onboarding process, normal reporting structure. She'll be working under Marcus in financial analysis, not directly with me. And when she finds out, I pause at the door, thinking about the inevitable moment of revelation. Then we'll deal with it, just like we've dealt with everything else, one step at a time, with dignity and purpose. As I walk toward the conference room, I can feel the weight of this decision settling around my shoulders. I'm about to change the careful balance I've maintained for years. But maybe, just maybe, it's time for both Hannah and me to face some uncomfortable truths about ourselves and each other. The question is, are we both ready for what that means? From the privacy of my office, I watch through the glass walls as Hannah strides into TechLoom's lobby for her first day. Even here, she makes an entrance. Her heels click purposefully across the polished concrete floors, her designer suit perfectly tailored, her smile already winning over the security guard. Classic Hannah, always performing, always aware of her audience. I lower the opacity of my office windows before she can look up and see me. A habit of self-preservation I've developed over the years. My morning coffee grows cold on my desk. As I observe her orientation through the building's security cameras, accessed discreetly on my second monitor. Your sister is quite memorable, Marcus, our head of financial analysis, messages me. He's conducting her department orientation today. She's already suggested 3 ways to reorganize the team seating arrangement. I type back a simple, "keep me posted," and try to focus on the quarterly reports in front of me. But my attention keeps drifting to the camera feeds. Hannah is in her element, commanding attention in the break room, gesturing animatedly during the HR presentation, already exchanging numbers with colleagues during lunch. I just had the most amazing first day. Hannah's voice blasts through my phone speaker that evening. I've made the mistake of answering her call while still at the office. TechLoom is incredible. The energy, the innovation, it's exactly where I should be. Though honestly, some things could use updating. Their communication protocols are a bit old school. I'm thinking of suggesting some changes to management. I stare at the communication protocols I personally designed 5 years ago. Proven, effective across hundreds of client implementations. Maybe take some time to understand the existing systems first, I suggest quietly. Oh, Liv, she laughs, that familiar dismissive sound that's followed me since childhood. This is why you're stuck. You have to be bold, make waves. Speaking of which, I still don't understand what you do all day. Mom's worried about you. No. I watch through my window as the sunset paints the city in shades of gold. In 12 hours, I'll be leading a board meeting that will determine the direction of our Asian market expansion. I manage. I reply softly. Well, guess what? I might be able to help you out soon. I'm already connecting with senior management. Here. Maybe I can put in a good word, get you an entry-level position. The pay is fantastic, more than you'd believe. I think about the salary approval form for her position that I signed last week. That's thoughtful of you, Hannah. I met the most interesting people today, she continues, oblivious to my irony. Though nobody seems to know much about the CEO, there are all these rumors. Some say it's an AI, others think it's a group of investors. Isn't that wild? I'm going to figure it out, though. I've always loved a good mystery. Through the security feed, I notice the cleaning crew has reached her floor. She's the last one in her department, still at her desk, already surrounded by personal touches, framed photos, a small plant, motivational quotes stuck to her monitor. Just remember to focus on your actual job, I caution. Oh, please. I've got that covered. You should see how impressed everyone is already. Marcus practically lit up when I shared my ideas for restructuring the quarterly analysis format. I glance at the email from Marcus on my screen. Ms. Chen, with all due respect, your sister's improvements would destroy 3 years of carefully calibrated data architecture. How would you like me to proceed? Listen, Hannah, I should go. Early morning tomorrow. Right. Whatever it is you do. She pauses, and for a moment, I hear something different in her voice. Something almost vulnerable. I really want to succeed here, Liv. This feels like my chance to prove myself. The words hang in the air between us, heavy with unspoken meaning. For the first time today, I hear my sister instead of her persona. You will, I say softly. Just be patient. Learn. Listen. She laughs again, the vulnerability gone. Since when do you give career advice? Anyway, got to run. Some of us have important jobs to prepare for. After she hangs up, I sit in my darkening office, thinking about masks and expectations, success and failure, sisters and strangers. On my desk, a stack of papers awaits my signature. Department budgets, project approvals, strategy documents. Hannah's future at Techloom, in many ways, rests in my hands. I pick up my pen and begin to sign, each stroke deliberate and quiet, like everything else in my life. For now, at least. 3 weeks into Hannah's employment at Techloom, the first crack appears in my carefully constructed wall of privacy. I'm reviewing budget proposals in my office when Marcus appears at my door, his usually calm demeanor slightly ruffled. Your sister is becoming problematic, he says, closing the door behind him. She's demanding to know who rejected her, proposed changes to the financial reporting system. She's convinced there's some shadowy figure deliberately blocking her innovations. He makes air quotes with his fingers, reminding me so much of Hannah that I have to suppress a smile. What exactly did you tell her? I ask, already knowing where this is heading. That all major systems changes require CEO approval. He shifts uncomfortably. She's now determined to meet with you. Well, not you specifically, since she doesn't know it's you. But the CEO. She's been asking questions. Lots of questions. I pull up the security feed on my monitor. Hannah is at her desk, furiously, typing what I assume is another strongly worded email demanding attention. Her workspace has evolved into what our mother would call organized chaos. Sticky notes everywhere, multiple coffee cups, and a small wall of printed documents she's highlighted and annotated. She found your signature on some old documentation, Marcus continues. She's been comparing it to other corporate papers. I overheard her telling someone in the break room that she's going to crack the mystery of Techloom's leadership. A familiar tension headache begins to pulse behind my eyes. Handle it according to standard protocols, I say finally. All communication goes through proper channels. No exceptions. Later that afternoon, I'm leaving a meeting when I hear Hannah's voice around the corner. I freeze, then quickly duck into an empty conference room, leaving the door slightly ajar, an increasingly common occurrence lately. I just don't understand, Hannah is saying to someone. Every time I try to implement positive changes, they're blocked by this mysterious CEO, Who doesn't even show their face? I mean, what kind of leader hides in the shadows? Maybe they have their reasons, another voice responds. Sarah, my assistant. The company's success speaks for itself, doesn't it? Success built on outdated systems. You should see these reports I've been reviewing. The signature on them. It's so... I don't know. It reminds me of something, but I can't quite place it. My heart skips a beat. I think of all the birthday cards, graduation congratulations, and Christmas notes I've written over the years. Hannah has always been observant when she wants to be. Besides, Hannah continues, her voice taking on that familiar, determined tone, I've been doing some digging. Did you know the CEO never appears in public? No photos, no interviews, hardly any digital footprint. It's like they're a ghost. Maybe they value privacy, Sarah suggests diplomatically. Privacy is overrated. Leadership requires visibility, presence. Like me, I always make sure my team knows exactly who I am and what I stand for. I close my eyes, remembering all the times Hannah's presence overshadowed my existence. Birthday parties turned into her impromptu performances, family dinners becoming stages for her latest achievements. Even my college graduation somehow became about her summer internship plans. My phone buzzes, a message from James. Budget meeting in 5, Hannah's proposal's on the agenda. You ready for this? I straighten my blazer and check my reflection. In the window. The irony doesn't escape me. Here I am, hiding in a conference room, listening to my sister criticize my leadership style, about to go reject her proposals in a meeting she doesn't even know exists. I'm going to figure it out. Hannah's voice drifts in one last time as she walks away. Whatever it takes. This company needs someone willing to step into the spotlight. I wait until their footsteps fade before slipping out of the room. As I walk to the budget meeting, I think about shadows and spotlights, about leadership and showmanship, about sisters and secrets. Hannah has always believed that power comes from being seen. I've built my success on staying hidden. But as I take my seat at the head of the conference table, I wonder how much longer I can maintain this delicate balance. The wall between my two worlds is starting to crack, and Hannah, true to form, is determined to break through it entirely. Let's begin, I say to the assembled executives, my voice quiet but firm. On the screen behind me, Hannah's proposal glows, waiting for judgment. Another moment of silent power in a lifetime of such moments. But for how much longer? The moment I've been dreading arrives on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. I'm in my office, reviewing the quarterly financial reports, the same ones Hannah has been trying to improve, when James bursts in without knocking. His face tells me everything before he speaks. She found the original incorporation documents, he says, slightly out of breath. They were misfiled in the general archive instead of secure storage. Your full name and signature are on them. My hands grow cold as I pull up the security feed. Hannah is at her desk, her face illuminated by her monitor's glow, staring at something with an intensity I haven't seen since she memorized her valedictorian speech for high school graduation. Even through the grainy footage, I can see her hands trembling slightly as she clicks through documents. How long? I ask, though I already know the answer. Minutes, maybe less. She's cross-referencing everything now. You know how she gets when she's on to something. I do know. It's the same determination that made her spend 3 days investigating who ate her Halloween candy when we were kids. She'd created a detailed chart of suspects and motives, eventually proving it was our cousin Michael. Hannah never could let a mystery rest. As if on cue, my phone lights up with a text from her. We need to talk. Now. I stare at those 4 words, feeling the weight of years of silence pressing down on me. Another message follows. I know. Olivia, I know everything. James shifts nervously. What's the play here? We could have legal step in, make her sign additional NDAs, maybe transfer her to our Singapore office. No, I interrupt, standing up. No more hiding, no more shadows. I smooth down my blazer, a habit I picked up from our mother. Tell Marcus to clear Hannah's schedule for the rest of the day. Have Sarah cancel my afternoon meetings. Are you sure about this? I'm not, but I nod anyway. Send her to the executive conference room in 10 minutes, the small one, on this floor. After James leaves, I stand at my window, watching rain streak down the glass. The same rain that's falling on the streets where Hannah and I used to play hopscotch, on the house where she always took center stage while I watched from the corners, on the schools where she dazzled teachers while I quietly aced every test. My phone buzzes again. Executive conference room? Seriously? All this time? I can't even... I close my eyes, remembering all the family dinners where she belittled my unemployment, all the social gatherings where she loudly wondered why I couldn't be more ambitious, more visible, more like her. Part of me wants to savor this moment of revelation, to finally step into the spotlight and watch her reaction. But that's Hannah's way, not mine. The conference room door opens behind me. I don't turn around immediately, taking a moment to gather myself. The city spreads out below, a maze of buildings and streets, each with its own stories of success and failure, truth and deception, power and vulnerability. Hello, Hannah, I say quietly, finally turning to face my sister. She stands in the doorway, clutching a tablet with what I assume are the incorporation documents. Her perfectly curated professional image shows cracks, her hair slightly disheveled, her expression a mix of shock, confusion, and something else I can't quite read. All this time, she whispers, her voice lacking its usual confidence. All those dinners, all those comments I made. You just sat there and... Yes, I reply simply. Why? The question explodes from her with surprising force. Why would you let me believe? Let everyone believe. God, Olivia, do you know how many times I've criticized your career choices? How many times I've tried to help you find a real job? Rain continues to fall outside, creating a soft backdrop to this moment of truth. I gesture to the chair across from me, maintaining the calm demeanor that's become my trademark in this building. Sit down, Hannah, I say, my voice steady. Let's talk about what leadership really means. Hannah sits, but her body language radiates tension. She places the tablet between us like evidence at a trial. The rain drums against the windows, filling the silence that's grown so familiar between us over the years. But this time, it's different. This time, we can't hide behind it. You're the CEO, she says finally, her voice caught between accusation and disbelief. You built all of this. While I was mocking you at family dinners, you were running a multi-million-dollar company. Yes. I keep my response simple, watching emotions play across her face like shadows. Why didn't you ever say anything? Do you know how stupid I feel right now? All those times I tried to network you into entry-level positions. She runs her hands through her hair, disrupting its careful styling. I've been working here for weeks, proposing changes to systems that I designed. I finish quietly. Systems that took years to perfect, that serve hundreds of clients, that process millions of transactions daily. And you just sat there listening to me criticize them? Her voice rises slightly, watching me make a fool of myself in meetings, proposing improvements to my own sister's work. I lean forward, choosing my words carefully. Hannah, do you remember in 3rd grade when you got the lead in the school play? She blinks at the apparent non sequitur. What does that have to do with... I was better at the part, I continue. We both knew it. Even Mrs. Peterson knew it. But you wanted it so badly, needed everyone to see you shine so desperately, that I stepped back. I told them I was sick the day of auditions. That's not... She starts, then stops, memory clearly flooding back. That was different. We were kids. Was it different last month, when you interrupted me 3 times at Mom and Dad's anniversary dinner to talk about your job interview here? Or last year, when you spent my birthday party telling everyone about your promotion? Or every family gathering where you felt the need to highlight my supposed unemployment? Rain continues to fall outside, but neither of us looks at the view. Now, for the first time in years, we're really seeing each other. I never meant to. Hannah's voice trails off. To hurt me? I finish. I know. You never do. You just need to be the star so badly that everything else falls into shadow. Everyone else becomes supporting cast in the Hannah show. That's not fair, she protests, but there's less conviction in her voice now. I work hard. I earn my successes. I've never doubted that. I say softly. You're brilliant, Hannah. Your analysis of our Asian market expansion showed insights that even our senior team missed. Your project management skills are exceptional, but you're so focused on being seen that you sometimes forget to see others. She slumps slightly in her chair, the perfect posture she's maintained since childhood finally breaking. So this was, what? Revenge? Letting me make a fool of myself to teach me a lesson? No. I stand up and walk to the window, watching raindrops race down the glass. This was me being exactly who I am. I built Techloom my way, quietly, methodically, letting the work speak for itself. I don't need applause or recognition. I never have. But you're the CEO, she says, frustration evident in her voice. Leaders are supposed to be visible, inspirational. Are they? I turn back to face her. Or is that just what you've always believed? Look at what we've built here. Hannah, look at our success rates, our client retention, our innovation metrics, all achieved without a single motivational speech or personal brand campaign. She picks up the tablet, scrolling through the documents that revealed my secret. $120 million, she whispers. My little sister, the quiet one, built a company worth $120 million. It was never about the money, I say. It was about creating something meaningful, something that helps people. Not for glory or recognition, but because it matters. Hannah stands up suddenly, pacing the length of the conference room. I don't know how to process this. Everything. I thought I knew about success, about leadership, about... She pauses, looking at me with new eyes. About you. Maybe, I suggest gently. That's exactly what you need to process. She stops pacing, staring at the corporate logo on the wall. The logo I designed late one night in my MIT dorm room. Where do we go from here? She asks, and for the first time in our adult lives, she sounds genuinely unsure. I check my watch. Right now, we go to the Thompson Project meeting. You've done excellent preliminary analysis, and I'd like you to present it. Not as my sister, not as someone trying to prove themselves, but as a talented professional with valuable insights. Just like that? Just like that, I confirm. Because despite everything, Hannah, you're good at what you do. When you stop performing and just do the work, you're exceptional. She sits back down, absorbing this. The rain begins to ease outside, the late afternoon sun breaking through the clouds. Something shifts in the air between us. Not forgiveness, exactly. Not yet, but perhaps understanding. Okay, she says finally. Okay, but we have a lot more to talk about. I nod, picking up my tablet. We do, but first let's go be professionals, together. The Thompson Project meeting becomes our first exercise in this new reality. I watch Hannah from my seat at the head of the conference table, noting how differently she carries herself now. Her usual theatrical flourishes are muted, her presentation more focused. When she speaks about market trends and risk assessments, Her natural intelligence shines through without the usual layer of performance. But I can see the cost of this restraint in the slight tremor of her hands, the occasional glances in my direction. Each time she checks herself, stopping mid-gesture, swallowing a grand pronouncement, I recognize the effort it takes. Like watching someone learn to walk in flat shoes after a lifetime in heels. After the meeting, she lingers behind as others file out. "Was that better?" she asks, her voice uncharacteristically uncertain. "It was real," I respond. "The data spoke for itself. You didn't need to oversell it." She begins gathering her materials, movements jerky with suppressed emotion. "I keep thinking about all the meetings before this. How I must have looked to you, barging in with my big ideas, trying to revolutionize systems you created." "You had some good insights," I interrupt gently. "Your suggestion about incorporating real-time market feedback? We're implementing that next quarter." She looks up, surprised. "Really? But Marcus said the CEO rejected my proposal." "I rejected the presentation, not the idea." I start organizing my own notes. 5 exclamation points per sentence, Hannah. "Clip art? Comic Sans?" A flush creeps up her neck. "I thought it would make it stand out." Ideas don't need to shout to be heard. I pause, considering my next words carefully. "Do you remember Dad's workshop in the basement?" She nods, perhaps wondering where I'm going with this. "Remember how he taught us to sandwood? Always with the grain, never against it. Light, steady pressure. Let the wood's natural pattern guide you." I meet her eyes. Leadership can be like that. You don't always need to force your mark. Sometimes it's about enhancing what's already there. Like you do. It's not quite a question. Like I try to do, I correct. I'm not perfect, Hannah. I've made plenty of mistakes. The difference is, I don't feel the need to hide them behind a show. My phone buzzes, a message from our mother. "Hannah, are you okay? You missed our weekly call and aren't responding to texts." I show Hannah the message. They're going to find out eventually. She sinks into a chair, suddenly looking exhausted. How do we even begin to explain this? "Hey Mom, Dad, remember all those times you worried about Olivia's future? Turns out she's been running a multi-million-dollar company while I was bragging about my middle management positions." "We don't have to tell them everything at once," I suggest. "Maybe we start small. Family dinner this Sunday?" "God, Sunday. Dinners?" She laughs, but it's a shaky sound. I don't know how to act anymore. All this time I thought I was the successful one, the one who had it all figured out. I've built my whole identity around that. "You're still successful," I point out. "That hasn't changed. What's changed is that you don't have to prove it, every minute of every day." She stands and walks to the window, where the late afternoon sun is finally breaking through the rain clouds. "You know what's ironic? All those times I tried to help you, tried to push you into the spotlight. You were already exactly where you needed to be. I just couldn't see it because it didn't match my definition of success." I join her at the window. Below us, the city is coming back to life after the rain. Streets glistening, people emerging from buildings. "I have a project I'd like you to lead," I say after a moment. "We're launching a mentorship program for young women in tech. The ones who might not be the loudest in the room but have valuable contributions to make. Would you be interested?" She turns to me, understanding dawning in her eyes. "You want me to teach them what you've taught me today?" "I want you to help them find their own way to lead," I correct. "Using everything you know about commanding attention, but also everything you're learning about the power of stepping back." For the first time today, a genuine smile crosses her face. Not her usual dazzling performance, but something softer, more real. The quiet ones and the loud ones, working together. Something like that. I gather my things, preparing to head back to my office. Think about it. But first, Call our mother before she sends out a search party. Hannah nods, pulling out her phone. But before I reach the door, she calls out, "Olivia?" I turn back. "Thank you," she says quietly. Not for the job or the project offer, but for seeing me, the real me, under all the noise. I smile, remembering all the years of watching her from the shadows, knowing this moment would come, eventually. "I've always seen you, Hannah. I was just waiting for you to be ready to see yourself." Corporate rumors travel faster than market fluctuations. By morning, whispers of my connection to Hannah have begun circulating through Techloom's corridors. I notice the subtle changes, conversations that stop when I pass, curious glances between colleagues, the sudden hush in the break room when either of us enters. The board wants to meet, James tells me, appearing in my office doorway. They're concerned about nepotism allegations. Thompson Industries is particularly interested in how this might affect their contract renewal. I'm about to respond when Hannah bursts in, her face flushed. "We have a problem. The Singapore team is threatening to withdraw from the Asia expansion project. They're saying they can't trust the leadership structure if we've been hiding something this significant." For a moment, I'm struck by the irony. Hannah, who once commanded every room through sheer force of personality, now looks to me, the quiet sister, for direction in a crisis. "Close the door," I say calmly, standing to face the floor-to-ceiling windows. The morning sun casts long shadows across the city, reminding me that every light creates darkness somewhere. "James, what's our exposure?" "Stock might take a hit when this goes public. Media will have a field day. The mysterious CEO of Techloom revealed to be hiding her own sister in plain sight. Twitter's already picking up chatter from employees." "It's my fault," Hannah says quietly, sinking into a chair. "I should have been more discreet when I found out. But I was so shocked. I made some calls, tried to process it all. I turn, back to face them, my mind already mapping out scenarios and solutions. No, Hannah, this was inevitable. Maybe not today, but eventually. The question is, how do we handle it? Press release? James suggests. Get ahead of the story? Traditional damage control, Hannah adds, slipping into her corporate crisis mode. I can resign if that helps. Find another position somewhere. Else. No. My voice is firm. We're not going to hide anymore. Either of us. I pause. A plan forming. Hannah? You said the Singapore team is worried about trust? She nods. They've worked with me on several projects. Finding out I'm the CEO's sister, they think everything I've achieved here might be because of favoritism. Then let's show them it's not. I reach for my tablet, already drafting an email. Call an all-hands meeting. Everyone. Singapore team on video conference. 1 hour. Olivia, James starts, concern evident in his voice. The board. We'll be there too, I finish. It's time for complete transparency. An hour later, I stand before the assembled company, in person and virtual, feeling the weight of hundreds of eyes. Hannah sits in the front row, her usual confidence tempered by uncertainty. The board members watch with carefully neutral expressions. Many of you have heard rumors this morning, I begin, my quiet voice carrying through the hushed auditorium, about my relationship with Hannah Chen from our financial analysis department. Those rumors are true. She is my sister. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. On the video screens, the Singapore team leans forward. But that's not the whole truth, I continue. The whole truth is that I've built this company on a foundation of merit, transparency, and trust. Every promotion, every project assignment, every success or failure has been earned, including Hannah's. I gesture to the screens, behind me, where performance metrics begin to display. These are Hannah's project outcomes since joining Techloom. Every analysis, every recommendation, every innovation, documented, measurable, and achieved before she knew of our connection. Marcus, would you confirm these numbers? Marcus stands, his steady voice carrying authority. Confirmed. Ms. Chen's work has consistently exceeded expectations. Her recent analysis of the Asian market opportunity identified 3 critical factors we had overlooked. That work was completed weeks before she discovered her sister's position. Thank you. I turn back to the audience. I've spent years building Techloom from the shadows, letting our work speak louder than any individual. That hasn't changed. What has changed is that I now understand silence and privacy shouldn't come at the cost of truth. I look directly at Hannah, seeing in her eyes the same determination I feel. My sister and I are very different leaders. She commands attention. I prefer to direct it. She shines in the spotlight. I work best in quiet focus. But together, we represent something powerful. The idea that there's no single right way to lead, to succeed, to contribute. The room is completely silent now, every person focused on this moment of revelation. To our Singapore team, you want proof of our integrity? Watch how we handle this challenge. To our board, you want assurance of our professional judgment? Look at our track record. To everyone else, you want to know who really leads Techloom? The answer is all of us, each in our own way. I pause, letting my words sink in. Any questions? The silence holds for a moment longer, then breaks as hands begin to raise across the room. I notice Hannah straightening in her chair, not to perform or impress, but to face whatever comes next with genuine strength. We've stepped out of our respective shadows and spotlights into something new, something real. Now we just have to prove it was worth the risk. The hours following. The all-hands meeting pass in a blur of emails, calls, and impromptu meetings. I find myself in a strange new territory, being visible, answering questions, stepping into the light I've avoided for so long. But I do it my way, with measured words and thoughtful responses rather than grand gestures. Hannah appears in my office doorway as the sun sets, carrying 2 cups of coffee. The Singapore team is back on board, she announces, placing 1 cup on my desk. Apparently they were impressed by our commitment to transparency. Their words, not mine. And the board? I ask, taking a grateful sip. James is handling them. The stock actually went up after news broke about your identity. Turns out, people like the idea of a quiet powerhouse who built success without self-promotion. She smiles wryly. Who would have thought? I gesture for her to sit. How are you holding up? Honestly? She settles into the chair, cradling her coffee. It's strange. All day, people have been looking at me differently. Not as the confident go-getter who always has something to prove, but as just me. And surprisingly, I don't hate it. Growth usually feels strange at first, I observe quietly. I had this moment earlier, she continues, staring into her cup. In a project meeting. I started to do my usual thing. Dominating the conversation, making sure everyone noticed my contributions. But then I stopped and just listened. And I heard ideas I might have missed before. I nod, understanding completely. The power of silence, which you've known all along. She looks up at me. You know what's ironic? I spent years trying to teach you how to be more like me, when I should have been learning from you. Maybe we needed to learn from each other, I suggest. Your confidence has its place. Your ability to engage people, to energize a room, that's valuable. You just needed to find the right balance. A notification pops up on my screen. Our mother requesting a family video call. Hannah and I exchange glances. Ready to face the next challenge? I ask. She straightens in her chair, but it's different from her old performative posture. This feels more genuine, more grounded. Together? I reach for my laptop, positioning it so we can both be seen on camera. Together. As we wait for the call to connect, I realize something has shifted between us. The old dynamics of spotlight and shadow, of performer and audience, have transformed into something more balanced, more real. Hannah's learning to find strength in quiet moments, and I'm learning that sometimes being seen isn't the same as being exposed. The laptop chimes, and our parents' faces appear on screen. Hannah reaches over and squeezes my hand briefly before letting go. We both take a deep breath, ready to share our truth with the people who have unknowingly watched this story unfold for years. Mom, Dad, I begin softly. We have something to tell you. CEO? Our mother's voice comes through the laptop speakers, pitched higher than usual. All this time, when we were worried about your future, you were running a company. Worth millions? I watch her face on the screen, noting the familiar crease between her eyebrows. The same one she'd get when trying to understand why I preferred reading in my room to joining Hannah's performances in the living room. Not just running it. Mom, Hannah interjects, and I hear a new tone in her voice. Pride without performance. Olivia built TechLoom from nothing. The systems she designed are used by major banks and hospitals across the country. Dad leans closer to their camera, his engineer's mind visibly processing the information. The coding you used to do in the basement. All those hours we thought you were just hiding away. I was building something, I say softly. It just wasn't something I needed everyone to see. But why keep it secret from us? Mom asks, hurt evident in her voice. We're your family. Hannah shifts in her chair beside me, and I can feel her restraining herself from jumping into control the narrative. A small victory in itself. This is my story to tell. Because I needed to do it my way, I explain, choosing my words carefully. Without expectations, without comparisons, without having to perform success the way others thought I should, the way I thought you should, Hannah adds quietly. A moment of silence fills both offices, ours in the TechLoom building and our parents' study at home. Through the window behind them, I can see the maple tree where Hannah used to practice her speeches while I watched from my bedroom window, coding on my laptop. I never meant... Mom begins, then stops, tears forming in her eyes. We never meant to make you feel like you had to hide your achievements. I know, I assure her. Just like Hannah never meant to overshadow me. It wasn't about blame. It was about finding my own path. Dad clears his throat, and I recognize his problem-solving expression. But now, why reveal everything now? Hannah and I exchange glances. Because, Hannah answers, we both needed to learn something about true leadership, about success, about being sisters. And because, I add, sometimes the quiet path leads you right where you need to be, even if it takes others a while to understand the journey. Mom wipes her eyes, then suddenly laughs. Oh, the bridge club is going to be unbearable when they find out. Margaret Chen's unemployed daughter is actually... Mom, Hannah interrupts, surprising me with her firmness. This isn't about showing off or proving anything. That's what we're both learning. Right, Liv? I nod, feeling a new warmth in my chest at her understanding. It's about doing the work that matters, in the way that feels true to who you are. Dad's eyes crinkle with pride. Not the showy pride he used to display at Hannah's performances, but something deeper, more contemplative. You know, he says, that maple tree out there? The quiet one that everyone used to ignore in favor of Hannah's performance spot? It's grown into the strongest tree in our yard. The metaphor isn't subtle, but it hits home. Some things grow, better in the shade, gathering strength quietly until they're ready to stand tall. So, Mom says, composing herself, When can we come see this company of yours? Hannah and I share another look, both understanding that this is just the beginning of a new chapter for our family, one where spotlight and shadow finally find their balance. The week after our revelation to our parents brings unexpected challenges and surprising moments of growth. I'm reviewing quarterly projections when Hannah appears in my office, carrying her laptop and wearing an expression I've never seen before, a mix of excitement and restraint. "The mentorship program you mentioned," she says, settling into what's become her usual chair. "I've been thinking about it differently now. Not just as another project to lead, but as a chance to really change something." I set aside my work, intrigued by this new version of my sister, one who enters rooms without needing to command them. "Tell me more." "We've been approaching leadership development all wrong," she explains, opening her laptop. "Everyone's so focused on teaching people to be bold, to stand out, to give powerful presentations. But what about the quiet strengths? The ones you taught me about?" She turns the screen toward me, showing a presentation that's notably free of flashy graphics and exclamation points. "I've identified 15 potential mentees in the company, not just the obvious choices, the outgoing ones who always volunteer for everything, but also the ones who contribute in less visible ways, the developers who solve problems nobody else notices, the analysts who spot patterns in silence." "Like we used to be," I observe quietly. "The spotlight and the shadow." "Exactly." She scrolls through her notes. "But instead of pushing them all to be one type of leader, what if we help them find their own balance, like we're learning to do?" I study her face, seeing the genuine enthusiasm that's replaced her old need to perform. "You've really thought this through." "I have. And..." She hesitates, showing a vulnerability that the old Hannah would have hidden. "I'd like us to lead it together. You teaching the power of quiet leadership, me showing when and how to step into the light. Both approaches, working in harmony." Before I can respond, James appears at the door. "Sorry to interrupt, but the Thompson Industries CEO is here for the contract renewal meeting. He's asking specifically to meet with both of you." Hannah starts to stand, her old instincts kicking in, but I notice how she checks herself, looking to me instead of rushing ahead. I nod, and we walk together to the conference room, matching our paces naturally. Mr. Thompson rises as we enter, his expression curious. "The Chen sisters," he says, studying us. "You know, when news broke about your relationship, our board had concerns. But watching how you've handled everything this past week, it's exactly what we look for in strategic partners. Authenticity, adaptability, different strengths working in concert." Hannah catches my eye, and I see my own understanding reflected there. We take our seats, not as CEO and employee, not as dominant and submissive personalities, but as partners bringing complementary strengths to the table. "Actually," I say, my quiet voice carrying its natural authority, "we'd like to discuss expanding our partnership. Hannah has developed an interesting proposal for leadership development that might benefit both our organizations." "Really?" Mr. Thompson looks interested. "I'd love to hear it." Hannah begins her presentation, and I watch with pride as she finds her new rhythm. Her natural charisma is still there, but it's tempered now, making space for substance to shine through. She's learned to pause, to listen, to let ideas breathe. When she falters slightly, I add my quiet insights, our different styles weaving together like a well-composed symphony. As we leave the meeting an hour later, with an expanded contract and approval for the joint mentorship program, Hannah turns to me. "You know what I just realized? This is the first time I've actually enjoyed being in someone else's shadow, because it's not really a shadow anymore, is it? It's just balance." The annual TechLoom Innovation Summit arrives on a crisp autumn morning. From my office window, I watch attendees filing into our headquarters, industry leaders, tech, journalists, and for the first time, our parents who sit proudly in the front row. This year's summit is different. Today, we're not just showcasing our technology, we're revealing our new leadership model. Ready? Hannah asks, appearing at my door. She's dressed professionally, but without her usual flair for drama. The change in her is subtle, but profound. Like a river that's found its natural course instead of forcing its way through the landscape. Almost, I reply, adjusting my simple blazer. Just reviewing the speaking notes. You don't need them, she says, coming to stand beside me at the window. Just be yourself. That's what got us here. I smile at the irony of Hannah, once, the queen of over-preparation and performance, advocating for natural authenticity. Nervous? Terribly, she admits, another sign of her growth. But not about being seen, more about doing justice to what we're trying to teach. The mentorship program she's spearheading has evolved into something bigger than either of us imagined. 25 participants, not just from TechLoom but from partner companies, learning to embrace their authentic leadership styles. Quiet strengths meeting bold visions, creating something greater than either could achieve alone. They're ready for us, James announces, appearing briefly before heading to the auditorium. Hannah and I walk together through the corridors of TechLoom. Employees nod as we pass, no longer whispering about the CEO and her sister, but recognizing us as the complementary leaders we've become. We pause at the auditorium entrance. Remember when we used to practice plays in the backyard? Hannah asks suddenly. You always knew all the lines but never wanted the spotlight. And you always wanted the lead role, even if you hadn't learned the script. I finish, remembering those summer afternoons. Look at us now, she says softly. Finally getting our parts right. We step onto the stage together, facing the packed auditorium. The lights are bright, but they don't feel exposing anymore. Under them, Hannah's natural energy finds its purpose, while my quiet strength holds its ground. Welcome to the TechLoom Innovation Summit, I begin, my voice soft but clear. We're here today to talk about the future of leadership. Hannah picks up seamlessly. A future that recognizes strength comes in many forms. Together we share our story, not as a performance, but as a truth that might help others find their way. In the audience, I see our mentorship participants, each learning to balance their own light and shadow. Our parents beam from the front row, finally understanding both their daughters. And somewhere in the middle, Mr. Thompson nods approvingly, having just signed the largest contract in TechLoom's history. As we conclude our presentation, Hannah steps back slightly, letting me take the final words, a gesture that would have been impossible months ago. In that moment, I realize we've achieved something rare, a harmony that doesn't demand either of us change who we are, but rather challenges us to become more fully ourselves. The applause that follows isn't just for our success or our story. It's for every person who's ever felt pressured to shine brighter or speak louder than feels natural. It's for every quiet achiever and every reformed spotlight seeker who's learning to find their own path. 6 months after the Innovation Summit, I find myself in our parents' backyard for Sunday dinner. The maple tree Dad mentioned still stands strong, its leaves now a brilliant autumn red. Hannah sits beside me on the old porch swing, both of us taking a moment away from the family chaos inside. Did you see the article? She asks, pulling out her phone. TechLoom's Revolutionary Sister Act reshapes corporate leadership. They actually got it right this time. She shows me the screen, where a photo of us at the summit appears. Me in my characteristic quiet pose, her with her natural charisma, both of us looking genuinely comfortable in our own skin. The mentorship program got a nice mention, I note, scanning the text. 3 of our mentees got promoted last week, Hannah adds, putting her phone away. Including that quiet developer you spotted, the one who revolutionized our security protocols without ever raising her voice in a meeting. I smile, remembering. And your star presenter learned to listen, We all did. Hannah leans back, pushing the swing gently with her foot. You know what Mom said to me this morning? She finally understands why I needed the spotlight all those years, and why you avoided it. The swing creaks softly, a familiar sound from our childhood. Through the kitchen window, I can see our parents preparing dinner, occasionally glancing out at us with newfound understanding in their eyes. I got another offer yesterday, Hannah continues. Executive position at a major tech firm. Full. Spotlight. Center stage. Everything I used to dream about. I turned to look at her, curious. And? I turned it down. She meets my gaze steadily. Some spotlights aren't worth chasing. I'm learning more here, doing real work, making actual change. Besides, she adds with a small smile, someone needs to keep the CEO grounded. From inside, Mom calls us for dinner. We stand, but Hannah pauses before we reach the door. Remember what you told me in that first confrontation? About leadership. Not needing to shout? I nod. I think I finally understand. It's not about being seen or unseen. It's about being true. Like this tree. She gestures to the maple. It doesn't try to be anything other than what it is, but look how tall it's grown. At the dinner table, surrounded by family, I observe how naturally we've all settled into our new reality. Hannah shares stories about the mentorship program without overshadowing others' contributions. I speak about Techloom's successes without hiding in the background. Our parents listen with pride that feels earned rather than performed. Later, as we're clearing the dishes, Dad pulls me aside. You know what the real success story is here? He asks softly. The company? The mentorship program? He shakes his head. Two sisters who found a way to be themselves while bringing out the best in each other. Looking at Hannah helping Mom with the leftovers, laughing about something, but not demanding to be the center of attention. I realize he's right. We've done more than build a successful company or launch an innovative program. We've discovered that true leadership, like true sisterhood, isn't about spotlight or shadow. It's about finding your authentic voice, whether it whispers or sings. It's about recognizing that strength comes in many forms, and success has many sounds, from quiet keystrokes to confident presentations. Most importantly, it's about understanding that the most powerful light is the one that helps others grow. As the evening winds down, Hannah and I stand once more under the maple tree, our shadows merging in the setting sun. Neither of us needs to say it, but we both know. We've finally found our balance, not just as leaders, but as sisters. And in that balance, we've discovered something far more valuable than success. We've discovered truth. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more stories like this. Give it a like and comment below what you thought of the story. See you in the next video.